Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do, probably now that this is making me think, I have to reorganize how I have things set up here. It's odd that I've never really even thought about this. Um, I should, though. I think I'm going to go try to cover that light a little bit. It's kind of weird. I guess that does it. I think that does a better job. So, okay. So I had just noticed something. I did. It was an incredibly, just a lot happened yesterday. And so I thought that I would go ahead and, try to talk about some of these things. Now, I guess the highlight of the day was that I attended a meeting with Florida Rising. There's a good group of people too in the room. Decent for the day and time that this was taking place, and it was plain to see uh, that the activism is very real in this group, and people are ready to move and shake things, and I was really happy to see that, and I was welcomed. They seemed to appreciate my energy and stated that much, so that was cool. Um, and we basically talked about the two issues, Roe v. Wade and the abortion ban in Florida, and the importance of the elections, and of course, getting people out to vote. And then the rent stabilization and the ongoing battle that is brewing between renters and realtors. And in fact, I kind of put my name down to go ahead and help with an event on Saturday that's going to require me going to Orlando, and I'll try to decide on whether I want to go Friday night and hang out the entire night and just be there when I need to be there, or ride my bike at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that, or 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I'm there on time. Um, so it was a great meeting, and I met some cool people, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them again. Now, one of the things that happened, now this was downtown Orlando, and it was in a building that's the Fifth Third Bank building, actually, that's on the corner with Roslyn and Robinson. And so if you want to Google it and look at the map and stuff like that, you can go ahead and do that. Um, and it's basically on the west side of Lake Eola Park, which I like to go to a lot. And so they did have food at the meeting with large trays, good food. It's black beans and rice and plantains and salad, chicken, which is good, but again, trying to move away from meats. Um, and so after the meeting, there was food left over, and I basically said, "I'll take whatever you want to give me, and I'll give it to the homeless people because there are a lot of homeless people around Lake Eola Park. So they gave me these two trays. One had the salad, and one had the rice and beans and plantains. There was no meat left over. So out I walked with these two trays. Now, when I walked, I had two options that made the most sense to me. I could make a right and walk, into Lake Eola Park, or I could make a left and walk to an area that's a little bit more commercial that I really don't think of as an area to walk very much. And I decided to go ahead and go towards the park because I've always seen people in the park, but it was 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 or something like that. So it had gotten dark already. And I guess the a cold front has moved in, so it's a lot cooler. So I'm walking, with these trays, and basically what ended up happening is that I walked almost and completely 3/4 of the way around, almost more than 3/4 of the way around the park to where I was almost at the building that I started at where I came up on a church. Now, in that walk, I saw some people and I talked to them really quickly. And, I said, you haven't seen any folks that might be hungry around here, have you? And just pointed out in the direction. Then one guy that I talked to, he was a crazy guy, and he was very upset that I even spoke to him. He didn't yell at me. He just never looked up, never looked at me. His eyes were always down. He had a cart and a bunch of bags and a chair and he was staring at a phone and he was going through it and it was just kind of like an intense state of being, and you really feel for a person that's in that situation and how I guess how did they get there. uh but I came up on a church and there was a person to my left and there already a bunch of people huddled up against the building, with their blankets and coats and stuff like that. And so I just, yelled out, "Hey, if anybody's hungry, I got some food here." And, the person that was sitting there, they were game. And then another guy came over. And then there was one guy also that was up and he was sitting there and I thought he would come over, but he was just talking to himself as well. He was actually more doing some yelling and when I approached him, he kind of talked to me, but he kind of didn't. I don't know. He was kind of talking through me, and that was kind of interesting. So having those encounters with people. So I'm feeling kind of good. Glad that I kind of helped. I asked him. I told him I'm sorry I can't do more for you, and I hope this helps out. And the one thing I forgot to say is like don't be messy, when you're done. Try to put the tray away. But, that's kind of being a little mommy-ish, I guess. So maybe it's a good thing. I didn't say it, but there it was. And so I'm walking back to the building to get to my bike, and apparently I forgot where I left my bike, on which side of the building. And I was almost certain that I left it on a certain side. And when I got to that side and my bike wasn't there, I'm like, it finally happened. Everybody has been telling me that bikes get stolen. I never believed it. Not that I locked it, but it's not a great lock. I need to get a kryptonite lock. Um, but the so yeah, and I was happy with myself and how I was sort of at peace with the idea that my bicycle was stolen. I didn't get alarmed or anything or like that. It was just, an acceptance that was kind of, it was a strange feeling. It was I have to admit it. It was a strange feeling, but uh, and the thoughts that were going through my head too. There were other thoughts associated with that. How I would address it. What would I do? how would I manage the situation? Not in a desperate mode, just kind of, trying to toss things over. But okay, so anyway, but then I got to the front of the building that faces the street Robinson, which is the street that I had to go on, and that's where I parked my bike, right there. And I was like, ooh, so happy. Then, so I was riding around trying to figure out, what am I going to do? But when I attended the event for making a pledge online, and I can't remember what the pledge was. No, pledging about voting. Um, and that I would, just do everything. It's just a pledge. And so I got a $10 gift card. And near Lake Eola Park is a really nice bar that's called the Falcon Bar that I like to go to. It kind of has a gothic feel to it. It's a small little neighborhood bar. It has a rotating art that is gothic. I guess the best way to describe. It really is a cool, hip little place, and they do serve a CBD drink there, and a couple of CBD, a water, and then a drink. The drink is more expensive. It's almost $10. And not all that. I actually like the kratom, however you pronounce it, drink that I had the other day. But and so I just kind of joked with the bartender, "Hey, I'm celebrating, $10, $10, and I'm, gonna get that one because typically I choose the water if it's there. I don't spend a lot of money there, but I just go, and they do play good music too, so that's the other reason. And they have good shows on the TV. They don't play sports or anything like that, but they have some interesting stuff that they're there, and you know." So it's a cool spot, and hung out there, and talked to the bartender for a little bit. Found out he went to see the Flaming Lips, and I was disappointed I didn't get to go see that show. But I am very excited about going tonight to go see the Gimme Gimmes. I don't really know them very well, but I like what they're about, which is they just do punk versions of really classic pop culture, pop songs and stuff. Really cool, easy listening. I love it when people do easy listening tunes in a punk way. I just love that. Uh, and then a friend of mine, Alex, who I met when I lived in Houston briefly, he is the bass player in a band called Surfboard. So I'm really excited about the whole lineup is great. The Black Tones is another band that's playing that I really dig their sound. They're a two-piece band. I've always been impressed with what two-piece and three-piece bands can do, as opposed to the four and the five-piece and stuff. And so I'm really excited about going to this show tonight. I'm not that crazy about the locale, but I am really happy about the show. But going back to yesterday, so yesterday, I feel good about the homeless and everything like that. I go to the bar, and then I have to decide what I'm going to do. And I decide to go. I said, I'm going to go home." And going home as I had to go to the train station and basically, hang out there for a little bit to get on the train. And that's basically the close of the day wasn't terribly eventful at that point in time. But before that, and maybe I should have organized my thoughts so I could go sort of in a, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. But there's just that Florida Rising. I'm so happy about that. That was cool. The other thing that was kind of funny was that I rode my bike to the Sunrail. And when I rode my bike to the Sunrail, so it's about a 10-mile ride. Um, and because now that I kind of understand the routes, the things, the speed, I'm a little bit more acclimated to everything, and the distance. I kind of know how much I can use the throttle to go ahead and actually, not pedal and move at a faster speed, but at the same time, not drain the battery. So it is a fine dance, if you will, a combination of pedaling, coasting, and all this stuff. And then when I get to the sunrail, once I'm on the sunrail, I can actually charge my battery, and I can just pull it out and charge it. So I got to the train. For once in my life, I got there on time. I had like a 15-minute window, so that was cool as hell. Then, when I got on the train, though, I got distracted with some things. I got distracted with some things, and I missed my stop. And I was going to go to Longwood to go to Liberty Health Science, it's a dispensary here in Florida. They have great products over there. I really liked what they have, and they have good deals going on. And one of the most appealing aspects of this dispensary, no, I mean, the quality of the products is really good. There's also the fact that when you're a new customer, you get 50% off on your first 3 visits. So that's really cool. And it was my third visit, and I got a half ounce for basically, and 2 additional walking sticks for a grand total of $60. So I'm very happy about that. Let's see. So that there. Oh, so I got off, so I had to get off the train because I missed it, and it's like, okay, so I got off the stop, but when I got off the stop, it just so happened was I was getting off, the train going back to the other way was just passing. So as the minute that it went by, I was able to just go ahead and cross the tracks and get on to the train to go back and get on that. And then I didn't realize it, but the dispensary is about just a little bit over a mile away from the train station. So that is, maybe a mile and a half or something like that. So that's a little bit of a trek if you're walking. A mile. A mile is typically, if you're just walking at a normal speed, it takes about 20 minutes or so. Um, so I know that. Then let's see. So that worked out really well, and so the dispenser, and then but that happened on the way to the meeting, and fortunately, since all that happened like it happened, I was able to get to the meeting relatively on time. They had already started, but they were really just in getting the introductions, or they just completed the introductions. So when I walked in, there was another person that walked in. It was all cool, and we had time to get some food, and it was all great. It was all great. Um, and yeah, so and then when I went on my bike, I went out with the Trump lost fuck your feelings shirt, for that 10-mile ride. So that kind of, felt good. And that's how I walked into the meeting. And that's kind of how people were kind of like, damn, doing one of those things. Um, so yeah, so I got to see, the homeless a little bit more up close, try to do something for them. And then Florida Rising, getting out the vote, getting people seeing. So it was the other thing was that, okay, so then my ride home. Now I think it's shameful that there is no bus that um, that basically uh, at the final stop to pick anybody up. You're on your own. Uh, if you take the Sunrail late at night, uh, yeah, you have to have like a bicycle, motorcycle, scooter, or something like that. They do have a parking lot where you can leave your vehicle. Um, but 10 miles back, and so I'm riding, and that reminds me of the. So I'm riding my bike down this, major road, 1792, which is widened, 2 or 3 now. It's 2 lanes and a very wide bike lane, which is really cool, and a wide middle divider as well. Uh, but I see these lights on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, I was actually riding. A lot of times I'll ride on the sidewalk, but this time I was riding on the on the road because there was really no traffic. It was like midnight and stuff like that. And so when I'm doing that, I notice these lights and I see a body and like a bicycle. And I ride by and it's like, okay. And I turned around, and just as I turned around, a car stopped. So we kind of pulled up, and it was a guy on the ground laying, and his bicycle. It wasn't like he was wrecked or anything like that. It was just hard to know what the situation was. And I said, "Hey, buddy, are you okay? Are you okay?" And he kind of moved his head. He looked. He opened his eyes and stuff like that. You know, are you? Uh, you know, are you? What's going on? Do you need help? You know. And so the other guy that came out of the car says, "We should call the police." I'm like, "No, you shouldn't call the police. Leave the fucker alone. We've asked him if he's okay. He's saying, yeah." And it looked like he was resting. I know, really bizarre. I don't know. It was just strange. Uh, you know, I feel bad because I didn't respond correctly to that. And I think that I should have said, let's call an emergency, medical vehicle for this guy, not the police. You know, we can't be fucking calling the police for goddamn everything. They are not like the one-stop shop to fucking take care of shit. And that's why we have part of the problem that we have is because we think about them. People, oh, I just don't know the way he said that. Let's call the police. Really bothered me. Anyway, but I rode off, and but when I entered so now I was going to ride back on a portion of the trail, the bike trail, or to get home. That is right there. That starts at around a mile away from the train station, or maybe even or half a mile, maybe somewhere around there, somewhere between there. Um, and I'm going through the path, and it's dark. There's no lighting or anything like that on the trail, and I just come up to almost like the very first turn, and a possum crosses right in front of me, and I don't know why, but possums give me goosebumps, and it just makes my skin crawl whenever I see a possum. It just it kind of gives me the willies. So that was weird. So yeah, the encounters with people, with this guy on the sidewalk, and the homeless guy that was mad at me for talking at him and slammed his chair on the ground. And you know, it was interesting. It was really, 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 really interesting. And of course, I had a decent run. Oh, and the other thing that actually made my day more interesting, and it's kind of again gone backwards, is that I went out and did my run, and I had to dress a little differently because it was, like 15 degrees cooler than when I normally run. And when that so after my run, I went to the gas station that I will often go to have a beverage. A lot of times because either I have it rewarded to me, the agents like it and me, and they give them to me. They don't charge me for a soda or something like that, or actually vitamin water is what I drink now most of the time, not soda as much. And anyway, of course I'm doing that, but I did it in a different shirt, and I got complimented on the shirt by the agent. And then the other agent who I've kind of gotten friendly with, and we're on a first name basis. I mean, I'm Bite, she's DD. Um, she says, "Bite, you're going to be proud of me because it's just." And I said, "What, you picked up your mail-in ballot?" And she said, "Yes." And the week before I had talked about to her, and she said she wasn't going to vote and blah blah blah. I said, "No, you can't do that." And I was very, persistent. Dee 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 dee, how could you? I'm just saying that lives are at stake here. So, and that was a story that I shared with Florida Rising, and that really got people fired up. So. Yeah, good day. A good day, all in all, and it looks. And the other thing that made it a better day, it was payday. So there was money in my account. and I had a little money that I could spend. But again, I got that $10 gift card. So my expenses, actually, you know what I did? It was kind of bad, but I kind of capped the evening off at the Wawa, and I decided to get a veggie quesadilla with roasted veggies, and that was really good too. And I kind of actually I made it just as I made it to the Wawa, was just 1 mile away from my house, is when I was getting the blinking light on the battery. So the battery did not charge enough while I was on the train, and before that, so and I couldn't charge it while I was waiting to get on the train because there's nothing like that there. But at the end of the day, I did make it there. And quesadilla was not bad. Could have been better. Probably won't get it again. Not terribly expensive or anything like that, but it's an experience. And I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful day, night, clear, looking in the sky, especially when I was on the bike trail through sort of the broken pieces, the large broken pieces of canopy and stuff like that. Uh, that was really nice to see that and be out there. So, and there was another aspect to my journey yesterday that also gave me a particular thrill. So I'm going to stop right there and just, I guess, end it and see when I come back and make things a little bit better.